General Hospital. Aside this, when it comes to engaging Oshogbo indigene to be part and parcel of government, as I speak, today, aside myself, who is the Senator of Federal Republic of Nigeria, who is from Oshogbo, undoubtedly, we have no less than 28 indigenes of Oshogbo who are playing very active role in the government of Governor Oyetola. So I know Oshogbo people will not desert Governor Oyetola based on the fact that the leading light of his administration is from Oshogbo. And you also know that it's not by chance that Governor Oyetola also decided to pick the Director General of Campaign, a son of the soil, to lead the campaign. So we are very confident, and we will not allow ourselves to be distracted into controversy of a story or distraction of a story. We know that traditional institutions in Oshogbo are fully behind us. The community leaders are behind us. Religious leaders are behind us. And the entire mass of Oshogbo on Thursday, they spoke overwhelmingly that they have endorsed Governor Oyetola. So on Saturday, by the grace of God, you see the massive turnout of voters that will vote for Governor Oyetola at the election.
I love your confidence and the way you have marshaled your point. But something that should give you concern, that is giving most residents of Oshogbo serious concern as far as the forthcoming election, is this issue of violence of late. Wait now. Don't jump the gun. If INEC security operatives are likely to be looking at Oshogbo as a flashpoint, and I want to believe maybe it was here in Oshogbo that when the Minister of Interior was in town, we had shootings, a number of accusations, counter accusations have been trading between APC, between PDP, even Accord involved, alleging this, alleging that. This election and the likely things to play out in terms of peace, in terms of crisis, how do you see it on the background of what has been happening of late?
I don't know what has been happening. Maybe I don't live in Oshogbo here, but I deal with facts and I deal with...
There was a time that Amatekun was being alleged. Amatekun was also raising the issue that some of their members were being attacked. Here also in Oshogbo.
You see, when you talk of security, insecurity is a continuous process. Just like security and peace is a continuous process. The fact that there were incidences is not a basis to say that you have a situation of recurrent insecurity. But you see, for instance, if an incident occurs in Okibale or Isalosun, and the incident was repelled by security agencies under like 30 minutes, how does that surmise to say that there's insecurity in Oshogbo? Unless maybe somebody is already trying to jump gun and reconstruct what has not been. What I know is that as far as our party is concerned, we are committed to a peace, free and fair and credible elections. Of course, the opposition party, even when they came to my compound to commiserate with one of the mother of one of my brother, who incidentally is their member, it will surprise you that they came with cutlasses to come and pay condolence and visit. So there's a difference between a party that does not need to coerce anybody to get acceptance. And if you go around too, you have also seen incidences of the opposition party vandalizing our billboard. One of their spokesperson ridiculously claimed that it was APC that demolished our own billboard and demolished that of the PDP. In fact, right on the national television, some people call that something is wrong with you. You have a perverted logic. The Governor Oyetola has invested so much in security. We cannot afford to jeopardize our security because of any election. So we want to implore people of Oshogbo, particularly people of Oshogbo generally, to not allow their children to be used by rudderless politicians as cannon fodder in the election. They should tell those politicians to bring out their children in the streets if they want to foment violence. And I will also tell you that the Nigerian states, that's the government, is not taking anything to chance in ensuring that there's atmosphere of peace, security, free and fair, election on Saturday, 16th, of July. So there's no cause for any alarm. We conducted campaign in all the 30 local governments, except for one or two instances that we had some security, challenges. It has been, very, peaceful. People have come out to receive, the governor and the message of our party in an atmosphere of joy and conviviality. So I would say that maybe it is the opposition party that want to simulate a situation of apparent rather than real insecurity and violence.
Okay, we'll be coming to look at issue of preparation by your party as for the July 16 governorship election. But then another thing related to the question you've just answered is this issue of trading of voters' cards. We also have allegations over the place on that. Beyond Osogbo, you also hear of attacks in Atakumasa East, you hear in Ilesha, you hear in one or two other local governments. When you look at this, and people will say, ordinarily, election in a democracy should be like celebration, carnival like.
Of course, there's even the election and campaign.
So
the election is going to be on 16, and I can tell you that the election is going to be peaceful. Maybe in the period of campaign, some overzealous politicians want to think that the only way they can pass their message is by being violent. And I can tell you that at least 3 members of the opposition are publicly threatening violence. I don't think anybody in my party has been caught on tape to have threatened violence. And I will mention them. Demola Adeleke, the candidate of the People's Democratic Party, on tape. And if you want the tape, I can give you so that I can hear it if you not feel bad about it. Saying that he has come with pans. We have pan, Sterling, and it is ready for fire. Sanyomiri, the PDP candidate, for the House of Rep in the Jesa South constituency, also have on tape. Threatening that they will use a catapult, they will stone people, they will attack people. I also have Ledo Yewumi, the candidate of the PDP for Osun West Senatorial District, also on tape, threatening violence. Last week, I had an encounter on the national television with Emi, who also said that I should add him as the 4th person threatening violence. And of course, some callers calling and show up parents for that kind of attitude. So we challenge anybody that has any such evidence or proclivity or propensity to violence on the part of our party. Our party is a party of peace, and the Yoruba has an adage, we are the one in government. We have responsibility under the Constitution to maintain peace and to ensure the welfare of our people. So we will not do anything on the account of election to jeopardize peace. So we want to appeal to the opposition to face their campaign and they take the apparent loss in good faith, because if election had not been done and you're already threatening post-election violence, it's not an indication that you already know that you are already rejected by the people of the state.
Now you ask the opposition to face their campaign. So let's face the campaign and the preparation of your own party towards this election. Starting with, let's look at those things you can regard as the main selling points of your candidate in this election. What are they?
I hope you will give me more than 1 hour for this interview.
I can't give you more than 1 hour.
Because if I want to begin to read out,
that is not possible.
If I want to begin out the achievement of our governor, will do so. I don't know the score I got in summary in secondary school, but at least I passed.
I won't have to remark your script.
So, first and foremost, you must talk of somebody who has brought into government 30-year private sector experience in finance sector, and also has almost a decade and a half experience in public governance. That's a strong selling point. There's none of the other candidates in the other 17 political parties or so that have, or 13 political parties that have that profile in terms of experience and sort of cognitive ability to rule the state. Secondly, too, you know, the other political party will only be saying, we want to do this, we want to do that. On the contrary, Governor Oyetola has done so many things. So I'll now speak to some of those things that he has done. One, he has been able to bring a good sense of public finance management to the affairs of the states. When you look at the budget of the state of Osun in the past 3 years, it is an exemplary budget in the sense that the capital expenditure aspect of the budget is far in excess of the recorded expenditure. That translates that there's really opportunity, and indeed he has delivered on the dividends of democracy for the people. So it's not just running government for the purpose of running government, but for the purpose of advancement of development and welfare of the people. Now, talking about infrastructure, as I speak now, Mr. Governor has completed tarring of more than 400 kilometers of road and grading of more than 5,000 kilometers of road. As I speak, aside that 500 kilometers of road, the road from Lameko to Enosun, Ilobu, and Ifonsun are being done in a very fast tempo. In fact, I was surprised when we were going for campaign in that place that the road was being even done overnight, so that when you get there in the morning, during the afternoon, by the time you go there the following morning, you discover what has been done. Oshogbo Road Pure Water, the construction work in Ife city has also resumed. So aside what has been done by the governor, is also doing additional road, even as we are conducting electioneering process. Secondly, in the area of health, you know, health, it is said, is wealth. The health insurance scheme of the governor, which it started with 630 million aid, has assisted a lot of foreign people to have access to health care. Then you also know that for elderly people and pregnant women and children, health care is free in the state of Osun. I was shocked during the Arise debate that some of the aspirants, candidates, they don't even know the state of health in Osun, and yet they want to come and take over government. Then 320 of the 332 wards already have rehabilitated and upgraded primary health care center. At the same time, the perennial strike in the health sector has been arrested by the government. So we have full payment of the commerce and the corners in that sector. Then, of course, you have the upgrade of the adaptation of the Ejibo General Hospital. You also have that of Oshogbo. You also have the facilitation of mother and child hospital, both in Oshogbo and Iragbiji. So in the area of health, the governor has done tremendously well. Now, education. Education is crucial to the advancement of the welfare of the reality, particularly those who cannot afford to send their children to private school. What has the governor done? The governor, taking the bull by the horn, set up a committee to address, to receive reports from the controversies about the educational policies of the administration. And of course, he was able to implement the recommendations of the Professor Oluwayenon-led committee. And the case of the reversal of that policy and the introduction of 334 has been that no less than 4 billion have been invested by alumni of various public school in the education sector. There's also been rehabilitation and reconstruction of many schools. Even as a senator of the Federal Republic, I supported Mr. Governor's effort with construction of no less than 11 blocks of classroom all over also Central District. Recruitment of 1,000 additional teachers, and this recruitment was done not on the basis of politics, and examination was written, and they were graded to ensure that quality people are into the education sector. Of course, there is regular supply of instructional materials to ensure that the schools are properly places where they impart knowledge. Then more importantly is that the governor is able to address the perennial crisis in the public sector of the state. You have a governor who has been consistently paying salaries of workers and has committed on a monthly basis 500 million monthly since inception to the clearing and liquidation of the arrears of pension which had accumulated even before the administration. And in terms of the welfare of the workers too, the contributory pension scheme, which was introduced by the federal government in 2011, of the 5 states in Nigeria, which has been said to fully implement that provision, Osun is one of them, including Lagos, I think Delta, FCT, and one other state. So this speaks to the fact that, and you are in the public sector. The public sector in Osun, in any area, either schools or institutions, they have not gone on strike for 1 minute. No talk of 1 hour since the administration of Governor Itola began. Then, of course, other area is also intervention to support businesses and commerce in the state. You see, if you go to the free trade zone, no less than 3 or 4 new industries are sprung up in that area. The governor, through microcredit agency, has supported traders, artisans with loan, interest-free, of more than 4 billion naira. And it has also continued with the school feeding program, improved it, and also introduced a very novel area of introducing Onje Eleri, which is feeding 30,000 families on a daily basis for the past 14 or 15 months. So when you see this sterling performance, you show somebody who is committed to the real purpose of governance and not for purpose of personal aggrandizement. And of course, security is one of the primary purposes of government. The government has invested so much in the area of security, and it will not be gainsaying to say that Osun is perhaps one of the safest places to be in Nigeria. So this speaks volume as to the competence, ability, and desirability of re-electing Governor Goyetola and our party, the APC, on July 16, 2022.
You have done well.
I've tried with my summary.
You have done excellently well with your summary. Now, let's come to the party itself. As a party man, it is often said that a house divided itself will never stand. But internal crises in political parties cannot be ruled out. But we are getting close and closer to the election. How united is APC towards this election?
We are very united, and you see that my leader, Baba Bisa Konde, said that when there are political rifts, you settle it with an election. February this year, there was a primary election, and 3 people came out from our party to contest the primaries. Right Honorable Lasun Yusuf got less than 500 votes at that primary, which is a direct primary by all party members. He had on his own moved to Labour Party. The other aspirants, Moshood Adeoti, who recently defected back to our party from ADP, got about 12,000 votes. Is in court saying that the governor ought to be disqualified because he did not resign as a member of caretaker committee. And of course, the governor had 222,000 of party members. So when you have 222,000 votes for a particular candidate, will you say that the people who are opposed to him have not exercised their democratic right of aspiring to the same office? So what one expects from such aspirants is that in the spirit of good sportsmanship, to go back to the party, congratulate the winner of the primary, and work for the sake of the primary. Alas, we have not seen that. We have seen one of them who had the benefit of flying the flag of our party twice to go to the House of Representatives, and they become deputy speaker, leaving the party for personal ambition. And one of them also, rather than joining forces with us, with his backers, going to court to challenge the election, not on the fact that he did not win the election, he lost the election. No. He did not say that he was rigged out of the election, but on a funny ground that the governor did not resign as a caretaker committee. So what I would say is that, and since that time, most people who are even their supporters, they have seen that these people don't have the best interest of our party at heart, and they have come back to the fold of the party.
So you are saying that for these two, and maybe others who may likely go with them, that the party will not be losing anything?
Democracy is not about unanimity. I hope you know that. Democracy is about majority. I don't think there is never anywhere that you require that 100 people must support you to win in a democratic consensus. A leader who is one of our teacher in politics said that in a plurality system, if you have 50 plus 1%, 50 plus 0.1%, you have won the race. So we are not saying that we are not talking to people who are ready to work for the party, but we cannot leave our majority and not concentrate on ensuring that we galvanize voters and be burdening ourselves with people who possibly 2-3 years ago that made up their mind that they don't want to be in the party again. So for us, as a matter of strategy, we relate with those who still believe in the progressive ideals, who are not ready to sacrifice their own personal ambition, to sacrifice the overall interest of the party for their personal ambition, and those who believe that when the party is still in power, they have hope. And most of them, reasonable members of our party, committed members of our party, they are working assiduously for the success of Mr. Governor. So we don't have any doubt whatsoever that APC will come out victorious and with a very large margin next Saturday by the grace of Almighty Allah.
Okay, let me put it to you this way, straight away. Are you saying there are no challenges ahead for the party?
How would I say there's no challenges? The essence of a politician is to identify challenges and to overcome those challenges. Even in the office here, you have challenges. So our challenge is that we want to ensure that we win overwhelmingly. It's not just that we win, we want to ensure that we win in such a way that everybody will know that the party in charge here, particularly because we need this win ahead of the presidential election. You will note that our party is the major party that is fielding a Yoruba man to contest the presidential election. So we need to show that Yoruba people are ready for presidency of Asiwaju Bola Tinubu on 16. So that challenge, those challenges, whatever they are, we are working seriously to meet those challenges. But we know that Osun people will speak with one voice. Yes, there will be few dissension to say that APC is the party that really recognize that we Southwesterner people are real people and we are people that deserve to be voted for by the people of Osun.
We'll come back to Osun election before we round up. But then, something that is related to it is the Electoral Act. A lot of issues have been coming out of it for some times now, passed at the National Assembly level, taken to Mr. President, awaiting assent given, complaints from the National Assembly, Minister of Justice going to court over it. And you look at all this and you say, within, at least APC is having the majority in the National Assembly. What exactly is the problem with this matter?
I think the problems have been largely resolved by time. I would say that the first issue was about Section 84(12), which says that political appointee cannot, be voted for at the convention if they have not resigned their appointment. Even though the Attorney General, possibly because of his personal interest, rumor has it that he wanted to contest for the governorship in Kebbi State. But of course, when the president insisted in full compliance with that provision, I think he decided not to go. And the case he filed, ostensibly in his name and that of the president, had been thrown out by the Supreme Court. So, as far as all political parties are concerned, they comply with that provision. So the controversy is absolutely needless. Then on the issue of using of statutory delegates, I think there was an omission of inclusion of statutory delegates, and of course the National Assembly tried to remedy it by passing an amendment. The president did not sign, but notwithstanding, the elections at the primary still went with the elected delegates, and we're no issue. So as far as I'm concerned, the so-called controversies about the Electoral Act have been resolved by practical politics. So the practical politics as a way of trumping legalism. So
is that the end of the story?
Of course, every election cycle, there's always review of Electoral Act, but as of now, whatever review of Electoral Act now will only have effect after the 2023 general election, because primaries had been concluded and the issues that were in contention were around primaries. So if primary had been concluded nominations concluded. If any amendment is done, it will take effect possibly in 2026.
Okay, you have spoken about the presidential election coming next year. How crucial the election in Osun is to that election. Of course, we had one in Ekiti, which was won by your party, the APC.
Overwhelmingly. 153% of the votes.
You have the adjective and you are using it. Now, one thing that played out in Ekiti is this issue of money.
How do you know
Buying
that?
votes.
How do you know that?
How do I know that? You are in Nigeria. We are
No. See,
we read.
You see,
our men were grand. I read on newspapers, on radio, review, on television. Are you saying that money was not traded in?
I'm a trained lawyer, and Akinola, we need to be careful when we make allegations. Inducement of voters with money or any other material advantage is a criminal offense. But by training as a lawyer, such must be proved beyond reasonable doubt. They are not going to be proved by banal allegation in the newspaper or by public commentators, like you. They are going to be proved by hard fact evidence. There are 16, local governments and about 200 wards and close to about more than 2,000 polling units. In how many of these polling units were there issues of money exchanging hands, and were there proof of such exchanging hands? Also, I'm not I'm saying. You are telling me I heard people say so, okay. And you see, and I said so that you see, PDP and other political parties, they are bad losers. Anytime our party lose election, when we lost in Anambra, they were going to say that that's the end of the APC ahead of 2023 election. Nobody said anything. When we now won in Ekiti, they begin to say it was because money exchange, and another theory was that it was because PDP was divided against itself. But the truth is that even when you put the vote of SDP and PDP together, they are less than 50% of the votes. So, and all these conspiracy theory are not rooted, in evidence as far as I'm concerned. What I know, and I speak, is that Governor Fayemi has taken politics and governance beyond the banner level that PDP had done in those places. So they could see the difference in that regard. So when people now want to bastardize fixture at another contest by making unproven allegation, fortunately, or maybe I should say this, the candidate of the SDP have gone to tribunal. Let us see what comes out of that tribunal. But I know the PDP candidate had written and commended the winner of that election. So it is typical of politicians to assert reasons why they get themselves lost. Like in Osun now, we have campaigned in every local government. We have our federal constituency campaign committee have campaigned in every ward, every community. Our opponents are not campaigning. So if you are not campaigning, then on Saturday, by the grace of God, we win the election. They will sit and say people use influence of money. Even a day before Salah, the governor, myself, and leaders of our party were in Ifetedo, were in Ghana Jolo there, campaigning late into the night. Yesterday, Salah day, we are still campaigning. Today, we are campaigning. So if we are campaigning ahead of the election and our opponents are not campaigning, then we now win the election. It's like a student preparing for exam and passing the exam very well, and then a student that did not prepare now said that student gave money to the lecturer to win to pass the exam. We are campaigning. We have been to every local government here. The governor was personally in every local government, in every traditional institution in the state in the past 2 months. And our canvassers, they have knocked on every door, they have walked on every street. The governor's wife had been on every market in Osun campaigning. Where are the other people? They are not anywhere. So if they are not campaigning and we are campaigning, I now said after we would have won, but the girls go, we're going to win. We could write a lie, we're going to win. Then somebody will now say, no, don't mind those Bashiru, they want the vote. Same thing when I contested a senatorial election, I campaigned everywhere. Then when I won, the man said he won. He said, go to tribunal. He said he does not have money to go to tribunal. So I don't think why people just assert it. Ekiti, they were not pasting posters. Even go to Ekiti now, you see the posters of our party everywhere. SDP was not pasting poster. PDP were not pasting poster. Even in Australia, go around. All the people we went to, Ifetedo, everywhere we went to, there was no posters. They were not canvassing. Where people in the market are canvassing, where people at everywhere are canvassing, we speak with every group. Every day, the government as I'm speaking now is speaking, with youth of the state. So if after that laborious journey, we now win election, so what they will now sit down and say that the election, there was a change of money at the election. So they are the one making claim that they have pounds.
Okay, that is where
but in our own case, we don't have pounds, we don't have the dollar.
Senator Ajibola Bashir, are you saying there won't be money for votes, buying of votes? These pranks that started way back in 2018, allegedly, because you are a lawyer in Ekiti, moved around and was said to have played out a game which you are saying didn't happen. What happened in Osun? As far as
I can only speak for my party, because I'm a very serious minded person. I don't know the tactics and strategy of PDP. I'm not that strategy. I'm not the DG of their campaign. I'm the DG of Oyetola and the APC.
And you're saying, as far as your party is concerned, money will not be involved.
It's running ethical politics, and we are committed to ensuring that we win our election fair and square. So for the other party, they are the one that said publicly that they have carried pounds. Stanley, did you see Oyetola said anything about that? We campaign on our program. I've told you here a synopsis of our campaign, and we are saying that this vote goes even beyond Oyetola. Is the vote about our race as Yoruba people. We are working towards ensuring the election of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and this is the penultimate election before that election. So we want to see how our people want to respond to the possibility and prospect of having a president of Yoruba extraction, which is very important, more important than even the governorship election.
Okay, we will look to, even if for a minute or two, how realistic that is in the course of this program. But before the 2018 election was inconclusive.
It was eventually concluded.
Wait now, before it was eventually concluded.
Yes.
You agree with that?
Yes.
Let's look at those issues, those factors that led to the inconclusiveness of the election. Are they still existing?
You see, it's not,
this won't be concluded.
We overrate this inconclusiveness. It's not only in Osun that we have had inconclusive election. I know at least 11 elections in Nigeria that were inconclusive and ultimately concluded. And they don't even start with 2018 election. If you recollect, the election between Chris Ngige and this lady, Ekulife, was inconclusive. And they had to go and complete it. Even the Anambra election, they could not complete the election. They had to go and do election the following day because BFAS did not work. The election that eventually led to Yaya Bello eventually emerging, it was inconclusive. In fact, if the election had been concluded and the Audu died that day, perhaps and Audu declared as winner, perhaps Faleke would have been the winner. That's theory. You also know that Sokoto election that Tabua of PDP is ruling now was also inconclusive. You also know that Kano election that our party eventually won was inconclusive. So when they talk about this inconclusive election, as if it's peculiar to show, it has a sort of a rule in INEC guideline. The INEC guideline says when elections do not hold in certain polling units and the number of registered voters in those polling units far exceed the margin between the first person and the runner-up, there will be a re-election in those places. It is still in the manual. The manual for election has been slightly changed in two respects. One, in what respect? Now, what will be looked at is not the total number of registered voters. The total number of PVC collected will be used in reckoning whether there should be a rerun when the margin between the winner and the runner-up at the first ballot is less less than the total number of PVC collected. So the law in that regard has been changed. The second one has to do with use of beavers. Now the use of beavers is now mandatory. The rule is that as at 2:30 p.m. on election day, where beavers do not work in any polling unit, election must not hold there, and the election will hold the next day. But if the margin of the PVC collected is far less than the margin between the first and second runner up, then the winner will be declared the winner. So these are legal issues that people are just making banalistic assertion as if it's something out of the ordinary. I can give you on and on instances of equal election, which either parties, either PDP or APC eventually, won. It's not a one-sided thing. But then beyond that, after 2018 election, we have had another election here in Osun, which they seem to have amnesia as to whether that occurred, and that was the general election here. At the general election, President Muhammadu Buhari trumped the PDP candidate Atiku Abubakar with more than 10,000 votes. Was that inconclusive too? In the 3 senatorial districts that we have, APC won 2 out of the 3. In my senatorial district alone, I defeated the PDP candidate with more than 28,000 votes. The records are there. Then in out of 9 federal constituency, we won 6. Out of 23 house of 26 house of representatives, as out of assembly, we won 23. So they forgot as if there was no election since 2018. So going to this election, I will tell you that the APC is going on a stronger pedestal than 2018, and they seem to want to sell the narrative of a 2018 election being inconclusive, as if it's something out of the ordinary. From what I've seen, from illustration you have seen, it's not out of the ordinary. It's a function of the legal interpretation and what happened in that context. And then you can also see desperation on the part of the PDP, because they know they're going to lose. Yesterday I saw them, the NSAS unfortunate incident where some hoodlums were sponsored to attack the governor. Incidentally, one of your directors or assistant director was involved in this incident, Mr. Toyin Yusuf. They are now circulating it as breaking news that youths are booed the governor. It's not unfortunate for you to degenerate to the level of outright falsehood, malicious falsehood, because you want to win an election. So as far as I'm concerned, this election is going to be won hands down by our party, by the grace of Almighty God. We are going into this election with vigor and with assurance that Governor Otola has made our job very easy, because he has done excellently well as a governor of the state. And in any event, we cannot afford a disaster of having people who don't have complete experience in anything to rule us.
Okay, Senator. Now let's talk a bit the next 5, 6, 7 minutes or thereabout about Nigeria and the politics of Nigeria as far as the forthcoming presidential election is concerned, the one for 2023. We have one of our own now as a candidate, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We have made copious references to him while answering some of our questions. Straight away, how prepared will you say Yorubas are electing one of their own? That's the first leg of the question. And how prepared will you say Nigerians are going away the Yoruba candidate?
I think one I will know. Saturday will tell. You will see. You have seen what happened in Ekiti, and I will tell you that even our leadership in Ekiti know that the victory of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu at the Eagle Square played a very important role in our overwhelming victory in Ekiti. So, but they want to downplay that. That's why they talk about money and politics. You can see that our governor in Ekiti, Governor Fayemi, was received with rousing welcome, even though he stepped down at the convention, because that shows that Yoruba people are very well at peace with him, that he took that historic role of stepping down for our leader, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So then too, I also believe that there will be a ripple effect of that positively in Osun, by people in Osun voting overwhelmingly for APC to say that yes, we are ready for the presidency. Then talking about whether Nigerians are ready, I am somebody that work closely with Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu and his team ahead of the primary. In fact, we Yorubas are few among those that work for the success of Asiwaju to emerge at the primary. So it's not a Yoruba agenda, so to say. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed is a detribalized Nigerian and somebody who is not attached to any religious sentiment against anybody. He relates with everybody as to their humanity, not as to their source or as to their belief system. So I don't see Asiwaju having problem winning overwhelmingly in the general election. And as you can also see, the Opposition People's Democratic Party, they are still grappling with the crisis of their structure. They are still grappling with the crisis of their choice of the president, and you will also know that the strong base of the People's Democratic Party, the southeastern Nigeria, have also felt neglected because of the politics of the convention and of course the selection of the People's Democratic Party. So we hope to be able to cash in on that. But beyond that, Asiwaju built his time. Since 2007 that he left government, he did not aspire to any other office. He did not jostle for any position. He did not aspire to anything except the president of Nigeria. And when it is right time, and he prophetically said it in Abeokuta, and it appears to be prophetic that Emilio come. So it is the time of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu to be president of Nigeria. My own time will also come. It's Asiwaju's time now. My own time will come too. Today is Asiwaju no come.
Okay. Now, to this movement of some of the governors of APC to Rivers to visit Wike, is he part of the game of luring him in?
Is it politics? I'm not party to that meeting, so I don't know beyond the fact that I saw there. But I know that politicians are dynamic. Though personally, I would have wished that one or two of our governors from the northern part of the country join that train, so that it will not be seen as a southern agenda. But nonetheless, I think the governors that were there, as well as Wike, they are sufficiently experienced. When it comes to politics is very dynamic, and you cannot predict what will happen. That's what they call human science. Is not they call it social science. It's not an exact a science. So in the upcoming months, there are bound to be alignment and realignment of forces. I also listened to Governor Otom of Benue State, and he said he's for now engaging in spiritual consultation. So we are joining him to pray that his spiritual consultation will eventually result in pitching his tent with Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Okay. In the immediate events of the primaries, you have some members of APC also doing some crisscrossing to the other party, the PDP, and some to NNPP. So you can. At a point, the president had to meet with some of your colleagues in the National Assembly who were threatening to leave the party. Some people are seeing this as signs that are not too good enough for what you and the Yoruba have at hand for 2023 in getting Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu elected. How do you see that development?
No, I think, I don't know, they learned about 22 senators went to meet with the president. I don't think the 22 senators are from the southwest of Nigeria. I only saw maybe 3 or 4 from the southwest at the meeting. And for me, politics should not be about convenience. When you win tickets, other people support you. So if you don't win tickets, you also expect you to support other people. So I will not advise anybody to defect from the party. But then on the NNPP cannot have showing beyond the Kano State. In fact, before the general election, I see it being depleted. You see, national election is very interesting. When you have somebody saying he's a presidential candidate and he does not even have governorship, any governor in his party, he does not have even viable governorship candidates in any of the 36 states.
Okay.
He does not have viable National Assembly in the one of the non-only senators. He did not have even up to 9 senators that are viable, capable of being elected. In the 360 hours of rep, he does not have up to 30 viable that are capable, and you see want to win presidential election.
Maybe that applies to those who are trying to be obedient to.
Those are even, I'm talking of NNPP. Peter Obi is like a maybe possibly will get like 200,000 votes, maybe, but even the unused ballot or full ballot will even have more votes than Peter Obi. I don't want to talk about. I want to talk about people who are known to the politicians, like Shekarau. Okay. Peter Obi is not a politician. For me, He speaks, I mean, in a cacophonous manner. So I would rather not comment on
that's your assessment. Finally, before we go, news is coming by the hour, and because we have another round of debate for the governorship candidates in the state. One thing that is bothering many Nigerians of late is voters' apathy when it comes to elections. In Ekiti, you look at the number that elected the governor, not just in Ekiti, that has been the trend, even when it comes to the election of the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And some are already saying that you have the rule of minority over the majority. If you have 5 million people in a state and less than 500 people will turn out to vote, and at the end of it all, the winner by 250, 200 or 300.
Contrary to your theory of rule by minority, those registered voters who did not come out to vote, they have already given power of attorney to those that vote that they should vote on their behalf. So democracy is about those who elect to actively participate. So as far as I'm concerned, for issue of voter apathy is neither here, nor there. But those ones, they are presumed to resign their faith to those who have gone to vote, because we have done.
We would rather encourage people to come out.
Another way would I encourage people? We have campaigned in every local government. We are doing jingles. There's no day you get to any radio station, you don't see even my personal jingle campaigning for people to come out to come and vote for my candidate. So if people cannot listen to the jingle, they cannot come out and vote. I would rather think that even if it is 40% of voters that come out, they should just vote for Itola, let Itola win the election.
You are so called the way of a politician, and it is expected of you.
I'm not a journalist, I'm a politician.
We want to appreciate you for discussing with us on Let's Discuss this evening. Viewers who've been listening and watching Senator Ajibola Bashiru, PhD, Senate spokesperson, of course, the Director General of APC Campaign Council for 2022 Osun Governorship election. We appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
God bless you.
Yes.
So many politicians, political office holders followed him. Unfortunately, we won't be able to really out their names because of time. Please forgive us. Next time, we'll do the needful. Until next week, when another edition of Let's Discuss will be coming your way, and that will have been after the election.
We'll be celebrating Itola's future.
Akinola Olabi is my name. Join us there. Bye-bye for now.